What is up, everybody? It's Isaac of the Dead back with another video. Let's talk about some DC stuff. Now, I have seen the second episode of The Penguin on HBO Max. It's holding up pretty good. There will be spoilers in this video, by the way, for both that and also, well, full disclosure, I have not seen Joker 2, Folie à Deux, or I believe that's how you pronounce it. Me personally not being a huge fan of the French, I could care less how you pronounce it, but we're just going to call it Joker 2. I have not seen Joker 2. At time of recording, it has had an early release, and it releases on Friday at time of recording. I was hoping to see Joker 2, but we're going to get into this. So, first, let's start off with The Penguin. So, The Penguin on HBO Max, much like last week's episode, this episode holds up pretty well. It's very well written, very well acted. There's a few complaints that I have though. Like there's a few things that I noticed that I think are fine, but in context it's a little weird. So let's talk about it, right? So the episode is mostly about how Penguin is trying to avoid being caught for the murder of. Why am I blanking on his name now? It's Alberto Falcone. Alberto Falcone. He's trying to avoid being caught for the murder of Alberto Falcone by his sister Sophia, right? So Sophia is a former Arkham patient. We actually see a bit of her backstory, a bit of her mindset in this episode. We get a little bit more of her perspective in this episode. And she is making an effort to try and figure out who killed her brother Alberto. And she's got a lot of fingers pointing towards Oswald, the Penguin. And so the episode is about Penguin playing some 2D chess, or no, not 2D, 3D chess to get out of a scenario that realistically would have seen him get murked by the mafia. We get sympathetic scenes for Sophia, somebody who's been seen as crazy, who just got released from Arkham. We see Penguin be mature and competent in how he deals with these scenarios, where realistically he would have been shot, probably, by the mafia. So I'm not going to spoil it too much. I will say, though, I like the second episode. The only things I will spoil are my complaints, right? And maybe slight spoilers on Joker. We'll get to that. And I can't spoil too much about Joker because I haven't seen the movie. Like I said, we'll get to that. So, the things that I was kind of, like I noticed in The Penguin is we maintain the focus on keeping the plot running simple, but I am highly concerned that we're going to lose focus and trail off later down the season, because that's what happened with Matt Reeves' The Batman, is that the first 2 hours were pretty good, and then the last hour of the 3-hour movie was wasted, for lack of a better term, with a hint of identity politics, like incel Riddler and white privilege Gotham. Like, a lot of that shit was like unnecessary, didn't need it, and it contrived the plot at the end. It made it lose focus. That is something I'm highly concerned about here, is that this looks really good and it's going to fall off later down the line. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because I really want the show to succeed now. It's got this Daredevil vibe. It's like got this vibe of like trying to keep a very comic accurate story in spite of its cripple of most people not talking about it and not having Batman in the show, when theoretically Batman should be in the show. I think we can all agree that Batman should be in the show, or he should even have his own live action show. And that's one of my big concerns, is like, where is Batman this whole time, right? I know that they made the point in the Batman movie that Gotham is a big city and he can't be everywhere all at once, but you'd think that with a crime family war like the Maronis versus the Falcones, that he would at least be involved in some capacity. Now, I'm not looking for key jangles. I'm not looking for a Batman cameo. I'm just wondering where he is, right? And why it would be necessary, right? So you get what I'm saying? Like, within world context of this story, Batman should realistically be in the story, right? So that's one of the problems with these peripheral Batman stories, is like, it's always like, we see all these side characters, but where's the main character? Where's the person we came for? Batman, the household name, right? So Another complaint that I had was, now, okay, full disclosure, you should only watch the show and judge it off at the merit of what you see on the show. Don't I would highly recommend not watching the after talk stuff, like the inside the episode stuff, because usually the producers, actors, directors, and writers of these kind of things are dumb. They are extremely dumb. And they'll say some bonkers bozo shit to try and virtue signal. They'll be like, "Oh, this scene actually represents this social justice movement." It's like, no, it doesn't. Like you're forcing that allegory onto it so that you can get cookie points in Hollywood, which is backwards, is how they do it. You know, those people are sick, but they do that a lot. And you know, the term misogyny was thrown around in the inside the episode, and I didn't see a lot of like misogyny. That's just the Italian mob, dog. You can call it misogyny all you want, but the argument is that the mob, regardless of whether it's Italian, Mexican, Chechen, Russian, whatever it is, are typically patriarchal. I'm not saying that to be offensive or to be, like, I'm just stating the fact that most of them are run by males. You know, it's a patriarchal society. There are a lot of queen pins. There's a lot of female, crime leaders for sure. But that's where like this diversity thing gets into play, is like, how come we don't have more females in crime? It's like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? You know what I mean? It's like, how come there are more men in prisons than women? We need to change that. It's like, this is why your DEI shit goes too far. So another part of that is at the funeral for Alberto Falcone, Sophia gets protests outside of the funeral by Gothamites who are upset that she was released from Arkham. But their arguments against the Falcones are like, they're holding up signs saying the Falcones are fascist. Sophia's fascist. Oh, they're all fascists. Which is like the typical go-to term for somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I thought it was ironic, given that fascism, little known fact to some of these posers, fascism was a term coined by Benito Mussolini in World War II, who was Italian, by the way. He was the leader of the Italians, a fascist dictator of the Italian people, a part of the Axis powers. And fascism, as an idea, as a concept, is way broader than just a one-scale idea. It's not just a right-wing or left-wing politics thing that people like to portray nowadays because, they don't know anything about politics. But fascism was coined initially by Benito Mussolini, but it encapsulates things like communism, like socialism, the ideas of communism and socialism and National Socialism, which is Nazis. Those ideas take up in theory, you could say that socialism or communism would work, but unfortunately, they don't work. And not because people are evil or it's only good on paper. I'd argue the concept itself is bad on paper too. But that's a debate for another day, because essentially it has the fascist ideals of relying on a government source. So the irony of calling the Falcones fascist is because the Falcones are literally an Italian mafia. So I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that was ironic. I don't know if they know what they're even talking about. But calling the Falcones fascist as a means of, it's like when they call Batman fascist. It's like when they do that as a means of protest, to complain about something. Typically they don't know what they're talking about. And so those are like small hints and clues of things that I'm just like, I don't know, this could fall off really hard, really fast. So I like the Penguin right now as it is. We're going to see how it goes. I can't recommend it entirely. I like the first episode. I can recommend that. But much more than that, it's tough to say right now. I'll keep you all posted on that. However, what the Penguin has, for all its faults, what the Penguin has as an advantage over everything else is that it's written maturely and it's well acted. People seem to be passionate about it, seem to care about it, right? And it's got a lot going for it now that we've actually watched it. Joker, on the other hand, you could have argued had the same level of respect and care put into it, and same level of fan base as well. Because the Joker had an uphill battle, the first one in 2019, because it was a rated R movie with the mainstream media turned against it, banned in China, and still ended up with $1 billion at the box office. Now, Joker, it's a phenomenal movie when it came out in 2019, and I believe it's a movie that's better on its own. It didn't really need a sequel. I think we all knew it didn't need a sequel, but we all knew that they were going to bank on it. It's another peripheral Batman movie where there's no Batman. I mean, we see baby Bruce Wayne, but no Batman. And the ending kind of left it up for your own interpretation. And I like the idea of, Arthur Fleck starting a movement, like the Joker cult. Like that kind of stuff. And then we eventually see how that could influence Batman later down the line. But we didn't necessarily need to see that, right? We didn't need to see the answers to those questions. It's better to leave it up to your interpretation. Full disclosure, I have not seen Joker 2. Folie à deux. I have not seen Joker 2. I know people who have seen it, and I have seen their reactions to it, and I believe that's why it's important to see other people's opinions first before you go see movies these days, because you never know how disappointing a movie can really get. Now, to be fair, I have only influenced that in my opinion because I don't want to spend money to go to a movie theater to have shitty seats, terrible food, diarrhea, or whatever else to go see a movie that I'm not going to enjoy. Right? I come to the movie theaters to be entertained. I come to the movie theaters to escape. If I can't get that when I'm paying money for it, then I'm not going to bother. So, word on the street is that Joker 2 is a deconstruction of everything that was built up in Joker 1 about Arthur Fleck. Is it a bait and switch? No. From what I've heard, it is not a bait and switch with Harley Quinn. In fact, some people are arguing that Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga, is underused, and she's not in the movie as much as they think, and the scenes that she is in is kind of underwhelming. And the musical bits are terrible, is what I've heard. They're saying that the movie's not worse because of it, but it's definitely not better because of it, kind of thing. These are things that hurt this movie's, word of mouth to get it to reach its money, which it probably isn't going to make. It's probably going to flop. Because most people cherish that first movie, and they don't want to see the destruction of this movie. And a part of that comes from why we all saw the writing on the wall. The mainstream media really wanted incel violence to come from this movie because they couldn't handle seeing a white man struggle. Fucking disgusting people the mainstream media is. And then all of a sudden they love this movie. They love Joker 2, but they hate Joker 1. Weird how that works out, right? It's weird how that works out. Now, if Todd Phillips, as much as I like him, is trolling us, good luck getting your money back, bro. But if you're trolling Warner Brothers, then that's a masterclass troll of spending $200 million just to tell them, hey, go fuck yourself. So, me personally, I'm not going to watch Joker 2, and if I ever do, it might be at home. But even so, I think I might avoid it just because I looked at the leaks, and if the leaks or if the ending is anything like the leaks entail it to be, then I think I'm fine not watching this movie. I think I don't need that. I don't need those answers. I can just enjoy because the word is that this movie's ending is so divisive that it ruins the Joker, like the first one. It ruins how you see the first one. So I'm not going to let it influence how I feel about Joker 1. So I'm just not going to watch the movie. I can't speak for everybody else. Maybe you guys will like it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. And if you do, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. But where the Penguin succeeds and where the Joker 2 fails is the Penguin knows what it wants to be, and it makes an effort to be it. As where Joker 2, from what I've heard, doesn't know what it wants to be because there was never a plan to be a sequel to it. And by default, it's a movie that struggles with identity and has to deconstruct and destroy its identity in order to justify its existence, which is redundant and a waste of money. You could have sent that money to people, missing in the hurricane right now. There's so many other ways you could have spent your money. and you decided to put it on that to destroy people's characters. You know, it's unreal. But hey, I highly recommend The Penguin. I can't recommend it fully until I see the full season, so we're going to just have to wait and see. But as for Joker 2, I'm not watching it in theaters. I hope anybody who decides to go see it, full disclosure, you know, you've been warned. And so hopefully you make your own opinion on that. But yeah, DC needs to fix themselves up because there's a news about the dynamic duo. What was it, Jason Todd and Dick Grayson movie that they're doing? Good luck with that. Good luck with these side character movies, these peripheral Batman shit. Good luck with that. All right, I will talk to y'all in another video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. See y'all around. Tell me what you think about the Penguin. Tell me what you think about the Joker and Joker 2. And don't smoke crack. I'll see y'all next time.